Jesus Christ is powerful. In fact, he is interested in people. And even more importantly, is that Jesus Christ is not just powerful over nature, but also he is powerful over demonic forces. Welcome to Matthew chapter 8, a very interesting chapter that we are going to interact with in a moment. And but by the way, have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? If you'd want to know or learn about the previous chapters, please join or subscribe to our YouTube channel on the link that is provided below. Now, I would suggest that you pick up your Bible. Okay, sorry. Let's pick up our Bibles and our notebook and let us listen to Matthew chapter 8.
Chapter 8. When he came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed him. A man with leprosy came and knelt before him and said,
Lord, you can make me clean.
Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. I am willing, he said. Be clean. Immediately he was cured. Then Jesus said to him, See that you don't tell anyone, but go show yourself to the end of Capernaum. A centurion came to him asking for help.
Lord, he said, my servant lies at home paralyzed and in terrible suffering.
Jesus said to him, I will go and heal him. It will be done just as you believed it would. And his servant was healed at that very hour. When Jesus came into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she got up and began to wait on him. When evening came, many who were demon-possessed were brought to him, and he drove out the spirits with a word and healed all the sick. This was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah. He took up our infirmities and carried our diseases. When Jesus saw the crowd around him, he gave orders to cross to the other side of the lake. Then a teacher of the law came to him and said,
Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go.
Jesus replied, Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Another disciple said to him,
Lord, first let me go and bury my father.
But Jesus told him, Follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead. Then he got into the boat, but Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him, saying,
Lord, save us. We're going to drown.
He replied, You of little faith, why are you so afraid? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. The men were amazed and asked,
What kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him.
When he arrived at the other side in the region of the Gadarenes, 2 demon-possessed men coming from the tombs met him. They were so violent that no one could pass that way.
What do you want with us, Son of God?
They shouted.
Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time?
Some distance was feeding. The demons begged Jesus.
If you drive us out, send us into the herd of pigs.
He said to them, Go. So they came out and went into the pigs, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and died in the water. Those tending the pigs ran off, including what had happened to the demon-possessed men. Then the whole town went out to meet Jesus, and they pleaded with him to leave their region.
Well, very interesting chapter there, chapter 8. And as we've said, is that Jesus Christ, we see Jesus Christ demonstrating his mighty actions and begs him and asks him, Jesus, heal me. Then there is the army officer from Capernaum who also come to him begging and says, you are not worthy to come under my roof, and just say a word and my servant will be healed. That is verse 5. And then even more importantly is that he goes to the mother of Peter, who she was suffering from fever, and Jesus does something very strange, very unique, is that he went and touched the hand of the mother. But again, there's also the storm, which it was very scary. And of course, the story at verse 28 to 34, the story of the demon possessed and how Jesus Christ was able to overcome them and defeat them. Now, we see Jesus' unique actions. Number one, in verse 3, Jesus touched the untouchables. He was not supposed to touch the, leprous people. He was not touch women as a Jew, but Jesus Christ actually touched the untouchables. But even more importantly is that in verse 10, Jesus Christ is surprised at the faith of the Capernaum guy. He's like, I've been traveling around, but I've never seen such a wonderful faith. In other words, Jesus Christ is actually affirming. In verse 15, as we said, is that Jesus Christ actually touches a woman. Now, Jesus needed somebody to remind him that he was a Jewish man, and as a Jewish man, he was not supposed to touch women. But even again, look at in verse 26, where Jesus Christ actually speaks to the wind as if he's a person, and rebukes it and says, can you shut up? Can you come? And interesting enough is that the wind heeds to him, to a point whereby his disciples are asking, who is this that he should be able to command the winds, and they obey him? Now, what lessons do we pick from this chapter? We'll read to 3, that Jesus Christ is powerful over demonic forces. In his presence, they all fear, run away from him, and they recognize that Jesus Christ is powerful. And for those of us that are Africans and are really scared by the satanic forces, we can be comforted, we can be encouraged, we can relax in God, knowing that Jesus Christ is powerful. And when satanic forces rise, when Jesus Christ appears, they must shake, they run away, they flee, because Jesus is powerful. So Jesus Christ has power over satanic forces. And for those of you that have been attacked by demonic forces, patterns in your life, curses in your life, patterns of poverty, scarcity, infertility, and such kind of things, we can relax in God and in Jesus Christ, because we know he is far much powerful than these forces. And then number 2 is that Jesus Christ is interested in people. Look at him, how he affirmed the guy from Capernaum, the officer. Look at him when he goes to Peter, the mother of Peter, and touches her. Look at him when the leprous guy comes and he touches him. They just shows that Jesus Christ was not that other guy top there. He was interested in people, even in those rejected people, those low-class people, those unloved people, those people that were below the social class. Jesus Christ was interested in them. Then number 3 is that Jesus Christ is powerful over nature. When nature is destructive, when winds, the tsunamis, and whatever else, the geography, the nature decides to misbehave, we need to remember that Jesus Christ is powerful. When the storms started misbehaving, Jesus Christ just stands up and rebukes them, and they calmed down, because Jesus Christ is powerful enough. And can we pause there and encourage you that in the storms of life, when they rise up and fight against you, you can rest assured that Jesus Christ is able to calm them down. And even in this time when Russia and Ukraine are fighting with a lot of effect to the world at large, we can smile and we can be comforted and we can be encouraged that Jesus Christ can be able to stand and calm them down. Now, we need to take a few actions, and action number 1 is that we need to replace faith with fear with faith. And in verse 26, the disciples were full of fear. They did not know what to do. They did not know what to react. But when we are filled with fear, we tend not to believe in God. Our confidence goes away. But we need to realize that Jesus Christ is far much powerful, far much greater, and we need to have faith. And when we have faith, fear will disappear. But again, following Jesus Christ simply means leaving everything. And we say leaving everything, it simply means discarding everything and following Jesus. And then number 3 is that we are not entitled to God's blessing. You know, just as the leprous guy is teaching us, or the officer from Capernaum are teaching us, is that they came begging, they came kneeling down, they came worshiping God. They did not feel entitled for God's blessing. And we do not need to feel entitled to the blessings of God in our own life. And I think that is very important lessons that we need to pick from this passage, that Jesus Christ is powerful, that Jesus Christ is interested in people, that Jesus Christ is powerful over nature and over demonic forces, and we can trust in him, we can focus on him. And when our lives are held securely by God, we can be able to accomplish any purposes in our lives. Thank you very much for those of you that have followed us. And until next week, such a time as this is John Kimani, what we call Fresh